Well, landing a good job is just one of the many things that college grads should be thinking about as they head out into the real world. And we're also going to talk about personal finance issues with the Watchdog on Wall Street, Chris Markowski. Good morning, Chris.
Good morning.
All right, so it's that time. A lot of people are thinking about this, stepping out into the real world, if they're not already going into the parents' basement, which we've seen statistics that a lot of them are. But given that they do get that job, let's talk about some good moves for them to make. First of all, building tax-free retirement savings.
Well, this is a must, especially we see in the conversation right now in regards to Social Security, Medicare, whether those benefits are going to be there. They're already running in the red. I'm a big believer that you want to be responsible for yourself in life, so you should start saving at a young age. It's not the amount of money that you end up making. People end up trying to hit home runs. I want to see 20, 30% of your money. It's time. The earlier you start saving, the less you have to save. So start right away. Don't break yourself, but pay yourself every single month.
Okay. Next up, renter's insurance. Now, I'm curious to know your thoughts about renter's insurance, whether you think that's a good idea for someone in their early 20s.
Yeah, when I first moved to New York City, somebody suggested, why don't you get renter's insurance? I said, have you seen my furniture? Have you seen my stuff? Why in the world am I ever going to buy renter's insurance? Let them steal the stuff, for crying out loud. It doesn't make any sense. Insurance is something you should own, just the right amount, not a penny more, not a penny less. If your stuff's not worth anything, what's the point?
Good point. Okay. And finally, look out for those tax breaks that are available to you, like moving expenses possibly that are related to your job.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, depending upon what you do, there's going to be certain things, uniforms, whatnot, depending on where you end up getting work.
Okay. And then always, as far as making the deductions, well, we don't have time to get into it, but we'll say it later. All right, more questions for Chris. Head to our website, dailybuzznow.com. We'll tell you about our Big Fan Friday giveaway when we return.
That's a look at your big news. Let's go around the water cooler, head around South Florida, where some gynecologists are in the middle of a brouhaha, so to speak, because they have turned away obese patients. Some doctors are saying if you weigh 200 pounds and you're pregnant, too bad, we're not going to help you. If your BMI is a certain number, too bad, not going to help you because it's too risky.
Yeah.
On the surface of this, you look at it and say, man, this is unfair.
It's very unfair. I mean, that's the first place that I went to, saying, you know, obese women have higher health risks or greater chances of having health risks, but at the same time, you're going to turn them away and say, we can't help you. Where do they go?
And I know the docs are probably looking at it saying, and Chris Markowski is our expert on money issues here, they're looking at it saying, I've got to protect my practice, and malpractice suits are out of this world in Florida.
Florida, it's really bad. OBGYN, it's very difficult to even find an OBGYN in Florida in many cases because they all end up leaving. Hundreds of thousands of dollars can be malpractice insurance, if not more, here in the state of Florida. It's a lot of money, and the reality of the situation is these guys get sued for this, that, everything, and there's a ton of lawsuits.
Can't they get sued for turning them away for being too fat?
No.
Discrimination?
Could that be discrimination?
No, I mean, they can still pick and choose who they want to do business with.
Yeah, but I'm sure somebody's going to try.
I'm sure that they will, but the reality is we want to fix the problem. We got to get to the root of it. We got to come up with some sort of tort reform where these guys are not getting hammered all the time, because that's where all the lawsuits are coming from. Doctors, especially on this, anything happens with your baby when they're born, the first person they look to blame is the doctor.
Yeah.
And the truth of the matter is, unfortunately in life, you know, medical practice is not perfect. Yeah. And human beings are not perfect. And people suffer complications, and people die, and people have injuries. And it's not always the fault of a doctor where you can say, okay, 10 million bucks, pay up. And so, as Chris is alluding to, you have these practices. Now, it is unfair. It's against the Hippocratic Oath for them to turn away people. But by the same token, they can't stay in business if they do accept them. So that's the conundrum. It has to be tort reform.
Considering a bill that would forbid parents from having sex inside their homes while getting divorced. They're trying to basically keep the drama from happening if the woman is leaving the man and she brings home someone and the kids go, oh, mommy got a new boyfriend to daddy, and he gets upset about it. But do you think it's fair for lawmakers to come in and say, you cannot have sex while you're getting divorced?
Not only think it's, well, it's unconstitutional. I mean, I don't see how you can get away with something like that. You're talking about opening up a Pandora's box of nonsense. I mean, don't some of these divorces drag on for years and years and years?
Sometimes.
Yeah, and I don't want to play devil's advocate, but you never know what type of situation these people are going through. You know, maybe it's a terrible divorce, and that's their way of getting over the other one, is, you know, feeling accepted by somebody else, you know, and for somebody to come in, especially making it a law saying you can't do that. At the same time, though, I do think there are some positive notes to this. You know, if parents are bringing their significant other in front of their children while an ugly divorce is going on, that can really mess with the kid's head. So there should be something, not necessarily a law, but something said to these parents saying, you know, keep it in the bedroom when the kids are in the bedroom.
There's so many things that can mess with kids' heads. There's so many ways that parents can screw up. The government cannot get involved in this area. When they do, it's just a disaster.
Now, you're the money man, Wall Street, Watchdog on Wall Street. The state is also considering a separate bill that would end lifetime alimony. It would basically put a cap on the amounts of money. What do you think about that? Should you end lifetime alimony? Should these once you get to a certain amount, you know, the father or the mom shouldn't have to pay anymore?
Well, I think that, you know, comes into consideration whether or not they end up getting married later on. I mean, there's eventually going to come a point in time when you have to go out on your own. I mean, if you're still, the mother's still there raising the kids and is financially responsible for those kids, definitely the father should have to be chipping in. But when that comes times, you know, time for you to leave and go get your own job, I can understand that too.
DailyBuzzNow.com is the place to go. Let us know your thoughts on the
tips, articles, and discussions just like these.
You're reading your comments regarding, you know, how much you dish out for the kids' tooth when they lose it, or birthday presents for their friends, or allowance, whatnot. We brought in our money expert in here. Here's one quick comment. Amanda says, I agree. My kids only get $1. Their friends get $10 each for each tooth. It starts to add up as the kids get older. You know, what do you recommend to parents who say, well, I want to give my kids more than the quarter I got, you know, when I was a little kid for each tooth, or, you know, $5-10 for a friend's parent or present?
For I mean, it's just, I mean, most of the kids at that age, they don't know what the difference between $1 and $10 is at that point. They don't have a clue. If it's paper, they know it's worth more probably. That's about it.
It's symbolic.
Yeah.
Right? And I think the biggest thing you can do is give them some amount of money, doesn't matter what it is, and teach them to save it. They put that in your piggy bank and get that habit going, right?
They got my kids got the 3 different piggy bank where some of the money goes for the church, some of the money goes to savings, and some of the money to spend. Split up.
Good ideas. Go to our website, DailyBuzzNow.com. Continue the conversation on how much you dish out for the teeth.
And continuing the financial discussion with Chris this morning, we're talking about graduates. A lot of people are thinking about this time in their lives right now, coming out of college, and some of the wise or unwise decisions you can make with your money. We've been talking about this all morning, and but I wanted to get into some specifics that you and I were talking about during the break. First of which is sometimes you get this advice that because you're young, you ought to go ahead and be really aggressive with your money in terms of investing.
That's horrible, horrible advice. It really is, especially now. We have to understand something. That our country's changing, the world's changing. A lot of defined pensions are going away. Government is heading more towards the 401k. You need to be responsible for yourself. We don't know where Social Security is going to be. It's already running in the red. So if you're younger, you need to basically take a look at the money that you're saving, and you don't want to lose it. Right. So if you're just seeing 5, 6, 7% a year on average for the next 30 to 40 years, you're guaranteed you're going to be a millionaire. There's no doubt about it. But if you go and you take flyers on frozen concentrated orange juice with Duke and Duke, I mean, you're going to end up losing your shirt. And then when
you're not going to be on a yacht in the Caribbean saying, "Looking good." No, that's not going to happen.
So you want to be conservative with your money, because you're going to get there if you are conservative.
And I think that's the point that so many people don't realize is that if they, and I wasn't one of them. I'm trying. You always try to get the younger generation to not make the mistakes you made, because I didn't save in my 20s. And if you do, like you said, an average income person will end up a millionaire if you just start young.
It's a funny thing, they never teach this in high school, is the power of compounding. It works in the reverse, obviously, with credit cards. But I actually put a compounding calculator on my website. You put the numbers in there. Just the money you save on maybe not getting a Starbucks or two over time be worth thousands and thousands of dollars.
Awesome stuff. Okay, Chris, thank you so much. And for more information on the money tips, especially if you're about to graduate from college, you know what I mean? It would behoove you. Go to our website, learn some more about this, because it is so important. We've, linked Chris's information to our